Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the This is the Music Meets Podcast, an independent podcast show that's dedicated to introducing you to rising indie and alternative artists from across the UK and Ireland. If you're new here, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a future episode, and don't be shy. Drop us a comment, as we'd love to hear from you. All right, let's dive into it then. It's episode 140, and we've got an incredible artist lined up for you today. Joining the This is the Music Meets podcast for his second appearance on the podcast, it is the brilliant Ashley Stacey. Over the course of today's episode, we're going to get the lowdown on Ashley's comeback single, Archipelago, signing with Echo Base Records, the Morning Sun remixes, playing live, and his plans for the rest of 2025. Ashley, it's great to have you on the This is the Music Meets podcast. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you, mate. Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, it is. It's as I say, second appearance.
Yeah.
Your first featured back on, and it was quite a good couple of years ago, actually. Back in
I was going to ask.
2022. Episode
22.
46, so
wow,
a long
early
time.
days. Yeah.
But we've still got our good looks though, right? So that's the most
of course,
important
mate.
thing.
We're aging like fine wine. That's what we tell ourselves anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those that are watching this on YouTube, the link's going to be going up in the corner up there somewhere, and it's going to be in the episode bios on Spotify and, as I say, YouTube and Apple Podcasts. So do go and check that one out after you've listened to this. But you're looking very well, mate. You've been away on holiday, I think, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I was in Tenerife for 5 nights last week, or a week before last.
Yeah.
Much needed little break. Lots of booze, lots of food. I didn't have a guitar with me, but there was so many karaoke bars out there, and quite a few videos of some seriously drunken performances with me, my missus. My old man was there as well, and we watched them back, and we was like, yeah, none of those are getting shared anywhere. Because we sort of we always go if I'm going to do karaoke, I'm not going to do anything sort of credible or anything that I would normally play on a guitar. So it ends up being just ridiculous. Me and the missus, we did an All Saints tune. And to be fair, I quite like All Saints, but we murdered it. Or a bit of rap or something, just being stupid. But it was a good laugh.
Oh, wicked. Well, look, it's great to hear that you had a great time, and you got to do a bit of karaoke, and especially when you've had a few drinks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So even you're saying there you didn't have your guitar with you, but did you pick up any inspiration whilst you were away? Did you get any motivational moments to create more new music?
Do you know what I did? I bought a book in the airport. I don't get much time for reading these days, and I used to love reading a little novel or something. And I find that when I sort of read a book, that I get very inspired by that. Sometimes little phrases or words, or even just getting yourself into a different zone, really inspires something. And it's happened plenty of times. So I read Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. Which is really good. But you just get put into this sort of strange, a bit sci-fi universe, and I think so. I didn't write anything, but those sort of things end up coming out.
Yeah.
And also I spend the time when I'm on holiday to sort of reflect on plans, and I get sort of plans in my head of what I want to do and what I don't want to do, and when I don't have a guitar and I've got a bit of time and space, that's what I sort of use it for. And I don't even try, it's just naturally those sort of thoughts come to you, and you sort of get things straight in your head, and it is always quite productive in that sense, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So then looking then at sort of I guess maybe I don't really like saying this, but maybe the bigger picture in terms of your releases as a whole. Obviously you into the sort of Britpop, and sort of early 2000s, sort of in indie bands, and you can obviously hear that influence. So how then do you sort of balance that sort of nostalgia and innovation in your sound, to keep it fresh effectively, so that it's not someone just saying, "Oh, do you know what? He just sounds like someone from that era." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I do know what you mean. I think I write my songs as with an acoustic guitar as a solo
Mhm.
artist. So I think that gives you a bit of freedom because when you sort of write with a band, which I have done as well. Obviously,
Mm.
I've got my band.
Mm.
And I take songs to them normally, and then we sort of build them up from there, or I'll build them up with a producer, and then me and the band will sort of get them together almost like on the back end, like after the song's finished, if
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yep.
So I think that gives you the freedom because when you're with a band, you've got your sound, and then you're sort of tied to that sound, and I think that is a bit restrictive. But yeah, like I say, this is more. I go into a studio with an idea of the direction that I want the song to go in, and the song builds up in that way. And yeah, that gives you the complete freedom, you know. So I've got the bare bones of the song. I'll have like the chords, the melody, the structure, and then I'll have my idea in my head, and I'll talk to the producer. And sometimes they might have a different idea in their head, and then it's sort of about, you know, do you meet in the middle? Do you go in my direction? Do you go in the producer's direction? And you know, to be honest, I'm sort of quite open-minded as well. I'm not sort of like, and funny enough, I'll touch on that when we speak about the new single because there's something interesting about that I've not spoken about. But yeah, I just think as a solo artist, you have that freedom to take it in a different direction. And I think so far it's like, yeah, you're right. It's got that. It's definitely. I think my music always has a sort of Britpop nostalgic influence, but I don't think any of it is too sort of cliche at the
Hmm.
moment.
Hmm.
So, which is good, obviously.
Yeah.
But then also at the same time, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with sounding like the people that you're influenced by. Well, like I say, sometimes I literally write a song almost when I've been listening to a certain style of band or a few bands or whatever, and then I want that song to kind of sound like that. And then it might not always come out that way. So yeah, you know, it just is what it is. It sort of comes out like it comes out, really.
Yeah, yeah, no, sure. And you're just touching there, obviously on your band, The Morning Sun.
Yeah.
If no one's seen you play live before, obviously I know they feature on the records, but for those that haven't seen you play live before, I really recommend they do get down and see you because with the band, I mean, it's a really tight band as well, and the individuals within it as well are brilliant musicians as well.
Nice one. Yeah, no, they're all brilliant. Yeah, great musicians in their own right. They're all experienced and yeah. We're rehearsing again because we've been on a bit of a hiatus and we've not done our first live gig yet.
Yeah,
So we're sort of looking forward to that. We're kind of waiting for one. It's I've had a lot of stuff going on, so it's been difficult. I've been some decent gigs that I've had to turn down, unfortunately. Um, but also, I want to come back with the right gig.
hmm
I don't quite know what that looks like at the moment. Whether it because the label was sort of saying perhaps do your own night, and then you've got the freedom to do it where you want it. So it might be that, or it might be a case of a decent support slot, or yeah, we don't quite know what it looks like. But I know that I'll know when I know. That sort of goes without saying.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And actually, in fact, you're mentioning the label there, massive. It takes us on very nicely to the next question, actually. So first of all, congratulations on signing with Echo Base Records. So kind of like then, how then did this come about, and what do you think does it mean for your musical direction?
Yeah, well, it came about. So Ross at Echo Base, I played a few gigs for him because he started off in the sort of promoting world, and he
Yeah,
done put me on to a couple of decent gigs. But again, solo acoustic at first. But before I signed, oh no, that's a lie. He came and see the band once, but I did I think 2 or 3 gigs for him, just as warming up, solo acoustic, like doing originals. and he put me on supporting Dermo of Northside
Yeah.
at the Lexington, and then I played another gig at the Social in Soho, and he he introduced me to a few people within the music industry who I was aware of, and he'd been telling me about his contacts and stuff like that. And I've heard a lot of that sort of stuff from a lot of people, and a lot of it is bullshit. And but with Ross, it was he was saying that all the things that he said he did, and he's a straight talker and he's very motivated. And then he told me basically a little while back that he was starting a label. And Marseille are on it, who are a great band, and Will Marseille runs a label with Ross, and he sort of said, we want you involved, and he spoke about his plans and his sort of like vision and the sort of ethos of the label, and I was really interested because me and him became mates off the back of me playing gigs with him. Like I've been out and met him a few times for a few drinks. So I'd stay after gigs because he DJ'd at gigs, and I'd stay till early hours in the morning and then get a cab home, and then regret all my decisions the next morning. No, he's a good man. So when he said he was starting a label, I'd had a few sort of offers before, but I think half the battle is getting on with someone.
Yeah.
With people, and that was done, and also he said as well, you don't have to change anything, because some of the sort of people that I was in talks with before were sort of saying you got to record at certain studios and this and that, and sort of it takes a bit of the freedom away. Whereas Ross was sort of like, you're the artist at the end of the day, you've got to do what you want to do. We're just there to sort of support you and guide you, and that was the main reason I went with it, really.
Yeah, sure. And as you say, I mean, Ross is a great guy, and so as well with Will, obviously, as you mentioned, and quite interesting actually. That's not the first story that I've heard where labels have said you've got to do it either this way or no way. It seems to have been going on for forever. And not sure if you saw, but who was it? A band from Liverpool, Stone. Not sure if you saw them. They came out and basically said a similar thing had basically happened to them. They were told what they could and couldn't do, and they've come out and basically criticised that. They didn't name the label, but I'm sure if you looked into it, it'd probably be quite easy to find out who. That was quite interesting.
That's John Power's son, isn't it, in Stone? I
think so. Yeah, not entirely sure, but
I've not seen that. But I mean, it's like I say, it's just. And it doesn't work because it takes away the artist's like creative freedom, and then also, well, obviously, like as in that case, it can create animosity as well. So and that doesn't breed sort of like obviously good music ultimately. Well, it can do, but I mean, like in terms of recording and stuff, like it's all a process. So the process has got to run smoothly for it to work properly.
Yeah.
So but fortunately, I've like I say, they've given the freedom, and the artists. That's one of the things he said. The artists he works with, he wants to. They have options. They have studios. They have producers. They've got everything sort of in house or close to being in house. But have sort of like with me, they work with me in terms of the contracts and sort of everything that I needed. They sort of incorporated it. So far so good, but I'm sort of slowly easing myself in, really, back into the music,
sure. And obviously with Echo Base Records, obviously they've got has to be said, a very, very impressive roster of artists, obviously in addition to yourself. They've got Standard Sound Project, Subterranea, and obviously Marseille as well, that you touched on before. So was that kind of like part of the appeal then in signing with Echo Base Records, knowing that they're working with, some fantastic artists? Are you fans of those bands and artists as well, or Yeah,
I am. And they've got Yonmon as well, who's from Shed Project. So those artists you name, that they're all great. And for me, that was a big draw. So like I've never had that. If I've been approached before, I've never really had it where I've looked at the label and thought those are artists to be alongside. But when you think of labels, yeah, you want it doesn't always they don't bands don't always have to be making similar music, but I think that you want to see that roster of decent artists because at the end of the day, you're sort of side by side with them. For example, when I first went up to sign the contract, we met in a pub and we went and met with Marseille and Ross and a few of the people at the label, and you're out drinking with them. They're going to be they're your label mates, so you want them to be preferably that they're cool people and they make good tunes. That helps. If you're going to go and meet with people and you're not really that keen on them or their tunes, then it's a bit of a waste of time. But yeah, no, it does help. It was a big draw, and I like what they're doing. They're definitely building something, in my opinion. So see how it all goes.
Yeah, definitely, and long may that continue, and try and take on the big boys as well. It's great to see. So before we talk about your latest single, you sort of released a couple of remixes as sort of like, I guess, maybe like a way of reintroducing yourself back into the music world. So what then kind of like inspired you to revisit The Morning Sun and release these new like remixes?
Right. So that was a label idea. So they came to me and they said they've got like producers and remix artists that they work closely with, and would I be interested in it? So I said, at the end of the day, if it's good, I'm interested in it. And Morning Sun was the first song that Ross heard of mine.
Right.
So it sort of made sense from that perspective. And also, coming back with a remix, it felt like a bit of a bookend sort of thing. Like, not rather than come out with a new single, it's like it sort of put a gap in between the music I've released before and the music I intend to release going forward. Mm-hmm. And then obviously you've got like the morning sun, like the imagery of the sun rising and a new dawn and all that. And it just like, it all made sense. And then they sent me the Tea Leaves sort of trip hoppy kind of remix at an early stage, so before it was quite finished. And even then I was just like, I really like this. This is something that I could sort of, I put it on in the sun one day and I was just chilling and I was listening to it and I was like, I was vibing to it and I could feel it and I was like, all right. And that was before it was finished as well. So I was like, let's go with that. If they finish that, we can put that out. And then Manic Mosquito did a sort of slightly more upbeat, sort of baggy version of it. So we sort of put that out as a double A side. And there were some more sort of like ideas, or a couple of sort of draft remixes floating around as well that were good, but the two that we released were very similar, but just slightly different energies.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one was quite left field from that. So if we put it out, it was more like hard house almost.
Oh wow!
So it's like if we, So I was pumping. So, I've got a feeling that might come out at some point, but it just didn't make sense on the single. So there's things sort of remixes still being worked on, that could come out in the future. But I'd never had a remix put out, and I've actually got a couple of older tunes remixed that sounded really good in a couple of different styles. But the dance producers that I've worked with to do those were, they were tied into contracts and stuff as well. Yeah. And we were trying to work out how to get them out and where to put them out, whether it be on my page, their page, a new page or something like that. And also we're in different worlds. It never happened. We tried back and forth, and you don't speak for a few months, and it gets sort of like everyone moves on to new tunes. So I was always quite keen to have a remix out. So this was the opportunity, and like I say, the tune was good, so we put it out. And it like in terms of streams, I must have hit a playlist or something because it got a lot of streams. Great feedback. So I was really happy that we went down that route in the end.
Yeah, definitely. And doing that collaboration with Tea Leaves and Manic Mosquito, did that change your sort of like interpretation, of like the original song at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It kind of did a little bit. The one thing is, like, they slowed it down. So now when I listen to the original, or even play the original as well, it seems quite fast because I got right into listening to that remix, like in the car. But no, funny enough as well, I'd kind of forgotten what I wrote the tune about in the first place. right, over the time of playing it with the band and stuff like that. And then the remix reconnected me with the feeling of writing the tune.
Yeah.
Which was quite weird. I've never really had that before, but it sort of brought it all back and it sort of reconnected me with the tune in a way. So and reignited my love for it and stuff. So it was cool.
Yeah, sure. Well, they're two fantastic releases, and I must admit, I've really enjoyed like listening to them both, either back to back or even when it's just randomly come on the on like the shuffle or when I've done it for that as a thing. So two great songs and or two remixes. Sorry, I should say.
Nice one.
It is only one song, but they both of them have done a fantastic job with it. And clearly, obviously, you're delighted with it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Got the green
light. So just after that, a couple of weeks or so after, Archipelago was released. I think we may have just about got away with the pronunciation on that. It might be the last time that we say it.
I was listening out for it. It's so funny how many people can't pronounce it.
Yeah. I think when I played it on the radio show, I think I said it completely different to how I've just said it then. So maybe we'll get it right one day. Anyway, the latest single has been sort of described as sort of blending indie rock with that sort of maybe kind of like Brit poppy sort of melody. So can you sort of share the inspiration behind the song and kind of like how did it all come together?
Yeah. So, funnily enough, you sort of reminded me about this when you was asking about the holiday and reading and stuff. So, I was watching a series. I'd forgotten this like years ago, and someone mentioned wanting to fly away to an archipelago. And I've not heard it before. I'd never heard that word, and I was like, "What was that word?" I was like, "I love that word. I've never heard it." I was like, "That is some word. Like I'm having that." And off the back of that, I just took the word away, and then also sort of like that thought of like they wanted to fly away, but when I started writing, I couldn't really think of a way of writing it where it was me escaping it. So I sort of wrote this story of someone else leaving and you not going with, and it sort of being a sort of like lost love tale sort of thing. I played it on an acoustic guitar, wrote it really slowly, playing it. Normally, I quite often play with a pick, but I took the energy out of it by just like strumming it with my thumb and making it a really a chilled tune.
Yeah.
And that is like the B-side, like the acoustic version that's actually out on the single.
Yeah.
And then so this one, and also like these songs that I've recorded recently, my last EP, I recorded them at Tyre Studios with a producer there called Mark Anderson, and I had the sort of direction of the songs in mind already. I think we'd rehearsed them with the band and stuff. But he was like, I'd be really interested if you could send me some offcuts almost, like some tunes that you've not sort of worked with the band, but you might think there might be something in them. And he goes like, send them across and I'll have a listen and I'll maybe pick out like, a few that we could work on. So I did that. I sent him, I can't remember now, 15, maybe 20 sort of, not complete throwaway songs, but like I say, ones that might not have been recorded. And he picked that one, and I was really glad that he picked it because I was like, yeah, I hear something in that as well. And but interestingly, when I went to the studio, and we're there with my drummer Ben, but Mark, the producer, his wife Alicia plays the bass. We're jamming because we're sort of like trying to get an idea there and then. And I started strumming it, and he was like, because I'm doing it with my thumb again, and he goes, pick the pickup. So I was like, really? So yeah. So anyway, so I'm strumming it. He goes, strum it a bit faster. And I was like, okay. And then Alicia starts playing this like Motown bass line, and I was like, wow, okay. So like, within about 2 minutes of starting this song, it had transformed from an acoustic slow number to this upbeat Motown number. And honestly, like we were all like excited and buzzing off of it.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, that's the way. So from there, we was like straight down the Motown route. We was like, right, we'll get some hand claps on it. We'll get some oohs. We'll get some ahs. We'll get some like soaring sort of backing vocals. And that's the route it went down in the end. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I loved it, and that's the reason it came out as the first original single, because I was like, I wanted to come back with a sort of upbeat, and it's short as well. It's short, sweet. It doesn't have a guitar solo. It's not sort of. It doesn't have anything added in. It's just a straight, short, sharp I think it's like a Motown tune, and yeah, we just come back with that, like just a quick sort of short, sharp release, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So the transformation was really quick. So you said 2 minutes from
Pretty
being
much.
this slow. Wow, that's mad.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I played it through in the so they were sort of like, play it for us. So I played it through, and it was all right, okay. So that doesn't count. That's just me demoing it almost. And then, but I mean, from there, Mark was like, yeah, pick a pickup, and I was like, I can't see that. And he was like, but if you strum it faster, it might be. And I was like, okay. And then it's transforming. And I think if it had just been that, and he was like, why don't we work on that? I probably wouldn't have been into it. But because Alicia started playing this Motown bass riff, then it all came to life as a different tune.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a few minutes, working with very talented people. It literally came to life and transformed it, and it was I've never really had that with a song before, like change in that way, not in tempo so much.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was good fun.
Yeah, brilliant, great stuff. And looking slightly ahead into the future, we've got a little crystal. I should get one, a crystal ball or something for this segment, because I believe that you have got something very exciting to announce on the podcast, which obviously at the time of recording this anyway, you haven't actually announced this anywhere else. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah. So the next single. From because ultimately there's a forthcoming EP as well. Like, I'm sure that everyone knows that that's how it works.
Yeah.
But the next single from that EP, so the second single, is going to be released on the Friday, the 6th of June. So when this comes out, it will be a few weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the big announcement, and it's it is called "Why Wouldn't We Look at the Stars."
Yeah. It's a fantastic song. I've been very fortunate enough to hear it. Just a couple of days ago. It's got a great, as all your songs do, to be fair, it's got a great melody on it. It's got that sort of sort of poppy, indie poppy type of sound about.
Yeah.
It's a great song, and you've recorded this one as well again with Mark Anderson. Have I got that right?
That's right. Yeah, so it's all recorded at Tile Yard. This one was it stayed in the sort of the tempo that it was written in. It was just about sort of building it up and capturing that vibe. It's got a very sort of swung bass line to it, groovy. It's got a bit of I think the sort of finished track has got almost a bit of the choral sort of vibe, that sort of wheelhouse. And I like it. I really like how it's turned out. This guy Andy, who Mark knows well, came in to do some backing vocals and some harmonies on it. We worked together on that and worked on the backing vocals to give the song even more movement. So it's got this sort of, you can feel it in there. The whole song seems to sort of like sway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love what we've done with it, and it's a good tune. I think I can't wait for people to hear it. It's like you said, pop, and I can hear that, and it's got, I like. I'm heavily influenced, obviously, by Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Like, maybe even more so than Oasis. Obviously, I love Oasis and always have. But I like the sort of experimental side of Noel's sort of more recent stuff, and that's been dubbed cosmic pop. I think by half the people slating it, and I think he's just owned it. But I love that sort of stuff, like I think it's got that sort of sort of almost like David Bowie, like dance elements in that sort of music, and I don't see anything wrong with bringing that stuff into this sort of music. But yeah, it's got that sort of it's an indie pop song, I would say. And I maybe only ever done sort of one tune before that sort of crossed over from, a lot of it sort of Britpop and almost rock and roll that I've done before. So it's sort of nice to bring that sort of poppy element to it as well, really.
Yeah, and I guess as well from your point of view as well as an artist, that it's actually quite nice to be able to release something, a little bit we touched on before, like with the remixes, but something a little bit different so that it keeps it fresh and exciting for you, rather than, not that there's anything wrong, by the way, with people just putting, similar sounding stuff out all the time,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
guess
for
that must
sure.
be
Yeah.
kind of like a challenge for you as an artist to keep trying to, write a song in a different way, or maybe come up with like how it's going to sound is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure. And I do that actually when I write, um, because like I say, I've always sort of been solo in terms of the writing process, and like my band are brilliant, and we'll bring stuff to life. But when I write a song, I almost like go for a sort of different direction, like most of the time. Like maybe might have been listening to a certain band, I think, like I said earlier, and you sort of take it in that direction, and different influences come in. So it definitely keeps it fresh and exciting from that perspective. And with the last EP, Telepathic Love, that was completely different. That was, let's make some tunes that are going to get us good live gigs. So we
Yeah,
know that they're it's mostly rock and roll. There's one sort of more sort of downbeat tune on there, but the whole thing was more so about making it like a live, sound more live really, and easy to replicate live as well, and to get those gigs, and it certainly did that. We played some great gigs off the back of that EP, but now this one has got the more sort of, there's all different influences coming in. There's a very exciting track later down the line, which I can't say too much about. But yeah, there's all sorts of elements coming in. Like even with the artwork, I worked with Gareth Halliday again, who did the Telepathic Love one, and he did the Knowles Who Built the Moon. That's one of his probably better known pieces. But he's an amazing artist. Like he's done so many sort of great covers and also just general artwork. And it's been fun working with him as well, because I sort of told him about all the different inspirations behind this, and as I did on the last one, and he nailed the Telepathic Love EP. I think that's one of my favourite bits of art, let alone out of my releases. I like, it's a stunning piece. And then with this one, I said I want you to like work with me again if you're happy to, but we're to do something completely different. And he was excited by that as well. And again, all the artwork that we've done for this, I'm just so happy with. Like it's just a completely different feel, which I wanted. Yeah, and it's all come out really well. So I'm sort of quite proud of it, of how it's all sort of come together, really.
yeah. I'm as you're talking, I'm looking at the artwork actually on me screen here. I won't show it obviously, but it's as tempting as it is. I've had it. I can't get away. I've got one exclusive. We can't put anything else. We'll leave that for everyone to check out in a couple of weeks. But it's stunning. It really is.
Yeah.
Um,
And
for
it's in the same vein as you saw the Archipelago sort of artwork.
yeah
It's that sort of similar sort of style, and it's nice to keep a sort of like constant image across a project sort of thing.
yeah
Yeah, so it's good that we've done it, because with the last one, with Telepathic Love, the he just did the main piece. So the singles were sort of like, to be honest, like they were artworks that I made myself. That were kind of, just they weren't as professional. They worked, but no, this one has been good. It was like from the offset, it was like, let's make this a proper project. Let's get style. Let's make sure we can run with it, and yeah, it's worked really well.
yeah. Well, the results are there. In my view, from what I've obviously seen so far. So just to confirm for everyone, Ashley's new single will be out on the 6th of June, and it is called "Why Wouldn't We Look at the Stars?" So yeah, when it comes out, add it to your playlists, and yeah, show your support because it is another top tune.
Thanks very
So
much.
yeah, good luck with it, and fingers crossed that it gets into the right ears and all of
Yeah.
that sort of good stuff.
Cheers,
So
mate.
not a problem at all. So on every This is the Music Meets podcast, we ask our guests a series of questions that are designed to be sort of like a little bit more light-hearted, and help the listeners find out a little bit more about the artists that we are chatting to. So first up, we've got a series of sort of like rapid, sort of quick fire questions.
Okay.
So the first one is vinyl or streaming?
Vinyl.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Agree with you there,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Studio or stage?
Ooh. Oh, that's really tough.
I mean, you need both, really,
Stage.
I guess. But
I'll say stage. I'll say
yeah,
stage.
Okay,
Do
cool.
you want me to elaborate on any of these, or do you just
Yeah,
want
go on.
to?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go on. Yeah,
You just
what's
can't
the?
think. I was tempted to say studio just because where I'm at right now, but I love being on stage, especially with a band. I haven't played with a band for a year last week.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, so we had a hiatus, but before that we were playing quite regularly, and also I was gigging like in pubs and stuff, like even doing covers gigs and all that. But I had a little break, and yeah. So where I am at the moment, I'm thinking studio, but no, it's when I'm back to it, it's stage. It's got to be stage.
Right, this one's a little bit tougher. I mean, I said they was a rapid, quick fire questions, but I'm not sure this one is, to be fair. But
Okay,
we'll see. We'll see. You might
I'll
know
bear
straight
with.
away. Maybe you're actually going to get some. Actually, I've got a good idea now because of what you said before earlier on off screen. We was talking about a bit of karaoke. So, what is your what is your guilty pleasure song?
Oh, I've got I've got loads of guilty pleasure songs. My I don't do guilty. I just do like my playlist is probably guilty pleasure songs. Do you know what? I'm probably going to go with this one just because it's one of my favourite songs of all time. But "You Can Call Me Out" by Paul Simon. I don't know if
Oh, that's
I don't know if you class that as guilty.
no, I think that's a classic. That is, mate. Just
Yeah, I love that tune. Yeah. It's one of my favourite songs. It's well up there, and it's just so lively. So yeah, I need a cheesier one than that. We mentioned All Saints earlier.
yeah,
Um, Pure Shores by All Saints.
yeah.
Love that tune.
That's a tune.
But anyway, how long you got? Because I can go through all these. I better stop there before I lose all my credibility here.
What's your go-to what's your go-to takeaway order?
Love an Indian.
Yeah. What you're ordering?
Yeah, chicken madras,
Yeah.
sag paneer. Um, yeah, just plain rice, maybe a keema naan. Yeah,
Nice, nice.
done.
We know what you're doing Saturday night.
Yeah. Probably before then, to be honest.
And if there would be one artist that you could switch lives with for a day, who would it be?
Ooh, cool. That's a good question. Um, some of my favourite artists are not very healthy, so I don't want to like switch with them. Yeah, because I was thinking, yeah, because it's almost like I'm thinking, like, do I switch with a rapper because they've got fucking, like private jets and they've got no fucking stress, have they? Because they got all the money in the world. I'm gonna say Noel Gallagher because he's got his own studio.
Yeah,
He's got a chauffeur. So he gets driven to and from his studio to record. He can call any artist in, like call Johnny Marr in to help on the guitar. And then if he wants to make like however many million, he can just call up Liam and fucking do a gig with him. So yeah, I personally I think he's got it all right. So I'd switch with Noel.
yeah. Great choice. Yeah, not I can totally understand those reasons, and let's hope that the tour goes off without any hiccups.
Yeah, we'll see. Eh?
Are you going? Are you going?
Yes, I do have. I have tickets, but on a date that is quite tricky for me at the moment. So I do have tickets, but I'm trying to do some just switching, some jigging about. But I've got to see how it goes. I've got tickets, but I need more tickets.
Yeah.
How about you?
I have, yeah. I've got one ticket for Wembley. So
Wicked.
yeah, just having to book the day after off of work because I'm going on the Sunday night. So looking forward to it. And from a personal point of view, it'll be a sort of a full circle moment. The first gig actually I saw was Oasis at Wembley in 2000. So the last one being
wow, you went to the 2000 one.
Yeah,
Okay.
not the
Not the one where he was
night that
smashed.
Liam was off his face. No, I sat down. Yeah.
That one's iconic, but it probably wasn't the better one to be at.
Definitely
Yeah,
iconic, probably for all the wrong reasons.
yeah,
Not
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if you could teleport yourself to any venue in the world right now and play one song, where would you go and what would you play? And the song can be whatever you want. It can be one of yours or a cover. Yeah, whatever.
Um, any venue, like it's got to be the. I mean, right now there's going to be no one there. I was going to say the pyramid stage. Does it matter that there's no one there right
Just a few
now?
cows just milling around.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe not the pyramid stage.
No.
Do you know what? I watched DMAs play a gig in a church in Kingston, and it was one of the most sort of moving experiences I've ever had. So I'd probably say that. I'd say yeah. Let's say that church,
Yeah.
and the title track of my forthcoming EP, which obviously I can't say what it's called. But yeah, let's say that church, that song, and just if you could sort of like help me pack it out, that would help.
Well, we'll call the song TBC. There you go. TBC.
Yeah.
There you go. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
So, we're going to play a little game of Winner Stays On, which effectively is around yourself and your Echo Bass Records label mates. So none of them might not like you after this. There's a couple as well bands that you have played live with as well, I believe, along the way. So we'll see how this goes. So the first one is Standard Sound Project v Hazy Sundays.
Well, Standard Sound Project are my label mates.
Yeah.
Hazy Sundays aren't on the label.
No, I know. So it's kind of a maybe you played live with them, or
yeah, I've got to go with my label mates. But big shout out to Hazy Sunday because they're good lads. Good lads, good music.
Yeah.
But I've got to go. I've got to be loyal.
Yeah, totally understand. Standard Sound Project v Subterranea.
Oh, that's brutal. That is brutal. I'm going to say Subterranea.
Yeah.
I think they're really exciting. I think they've got a lot of prospects. I heard of them before and heard their tunes before they even joined Echo Bass, actually. And I was sort of a bit of a fan. Jackson Lucet.
Yeah, I know Jackson. Yeah, we had him on the podcast before. He's you're like massive mates, aren't you? So
he's the man. I love him to bits. He put me onto Subterranea, and I was a bit of a fan. On the just sort of personally. So yeah, I'll go Subterranea, but yeah, big up Standard Sound Projects as well. Like
yeah,
you put in two labels, that is brutal.
Well, it's tough. He's tough, and it's probably a little bit unfair to be honest, but we'll
you got to do it, man.
We'll do it. Okay, so we've got Subterranea with a band that I believe you have played live with. You've supported them, Stanley's. Again,
Stanleys are a great band, great lads. This is not from a label perspective. This is just purely from a taste perspective.
Yeah.
Subterranea for me on that one.
Yeah,
but again, big up the Stanleys because they're brilliant, nice lads,
they are,
do it really well. Good tunes, but just like in terms of the style, Subterranea for me.
Yeah, no, totally understandable. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, all right,
one, no, love Subterranea. So Subterranea v Marseille.
I knew you was going to do that. I knew you was going to do that. I might surprise you with this one, but I'm going to go Marseille.
Yeah.
I really like their style. See, I see a little bit of the Lars in them.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
they do some like acoustic sets. Like they've headlined gigs playing acoustic, and I think they should almost sort of like delve into that a little bit more.
Hmm.
But I really dig their sound, and also they're nice guys. So yeah, Marseille.
Yeah, definitely. I think, look, Marseille. I can't remember how long now. Been into them. Must be 2-3 years. Top
Okay.
band. And
Yeah,
yeah, fingers crossed that they're gonna get into the net onto the next level for them.
yeah, they deserve it. That'll be the thing. If they don't, it'll be a travesty. You know, like they deserve. They're the sort of band and Subterranea that should be skyrocketing. So yeah, let's hope that's the case.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, so this is the last one. Winner takes all. It's Marseille v Ashley Stacey.
Someone once told me, someone once asked me at a gig, I won't tell you who it is.
Yeah,
He was heavily intoxicated. He was quite a high up person in the music industry.
right.
Once asked me who my favourite band were,
Yeah,
and I said the Lars,
yeah.
and which was my favourite band at the time. That this all chops and changes, and he was like I say intoxicated. He was smashed, and he had the massive go at me for not saying my own band, and it didn't even come into my head. Do you know what I mean? But I was about to play, and he
Yeah.
was like, "I won't do the accent because he might give a bit of a clue, and also because I'll be rubbish at it." But yeah, he said the fact you didn't. And also was getting in my face about it, and I was like, okay, and I had to sort of like back up and get out. But
Wow.
anyway, that means I know how to answer this question. Marseille.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Great stuff. Look, yeah, just a little bit of fun and yeah, that was good. I enjoyed the reasoning as well behind each one, as I say, just a little bit of fun and
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that.
all incredible artists, it
Yeah.
has to be said. So obviously festival season is pretty much here. Is there a dream festival that you'd love to be a part of?
Yeah, I mean Glastonbury for me, Glastonbury all day long. It's the best festival I've been to, and it's one that I would love to play. There's so many stages there. I almost feel like there's a few stages that we could what's the word? Like we justify. I can't think of the word,
Yeah,
but like
no,
we,
yeah, you'd
you know,
be a good
yeah, we
fit for
fit in
that
there. We'd
stage.
be,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think so. When us as a band are at our best, yeah, I think that we could do a good set at one of the stages there. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Glastonbury's the answer anyway.
One day. Love it,
One
love it.
day. Yeah.
So how do you envisage your musical sort of, evolution, I guess, in the next couple, in the next few years? How do you see that going, especially obviously now with the backing of Echo Base Records behind you?
Yeah, I'd just like to see it getting a bit bigger. It's interesting because, like, in terms of the direction, I've always got this sort of. I've got tunes that I write that are rock and roll, but I've got this other sort of like more poppy element as well. And I think I think it's good to do a bit of both. But I think on these recent tunes we worked on the sort of harmonies to make them a bit bigger. But I think there's space to go even bigger. So I think just bigger and yeah, just see how it goes. Really, more of the same, but yeah, more of the same but bigger. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Don't worry, someone out there does understand. Um, I should say before I ask you this next question, I genuinely hope this doesn't happen. But if it does, then I'm sorry. If you were stranded on a desert island, which three albums would you want to have with you?
Oh God.
Until, of course, you were rescued.
Yeah, all right, okay, yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to go with Abbey Road.
Nice.
I'll go with the Lars self-titled album.
Yeah. Another classic.
And do you know what? I might go with a Master Plan.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Master Plan, because I think that would be nice because there's some nice mellow ones that you could kick back to on there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the three. Let's lock that in. Final answer.
Definitely three great choices there. And obviously you mentioned obviously you've got a new single coming out in, well, it's about 2 weeks. I think, is that right, roughly? Yeah, about two, maybe
Yeah.
3 weeks, which is obviously very, very exciting. But what other plans have you got in store for 2025?
Well, yeah, I mentioned it earlier. So basically, there's going to be a build up to the EP, and then that's the main thing. So this with Echo Base, the whole thing was let's gear up towards let's get you back in because I'd moved away from the socials, I'd stopped sort of promoting anything, and I'd sort of got a bit sort of fed up with it for a bit. So it was like let's gear back up towards this big EP release, and then let's do a few things like that. So I don't want to sort of give away too much about the plans around it,
Yeah.
but I'll just say that towards the end of the summer, there will be a decent EP launch and all the sort of good stuff that comes with that.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, it sounds really, really exciting, and I'll genuinely wish you the best of luck with obviously the forthcoming new single, as we mentioned, and obviously, the EP that you've got coming out. It sounds really, as I say, really, really exciting, and good luck with everything because I think your music is fantastic.
Cheers,
Um,
man. I appreciate that.
Not a problem at all. But look, unfortunately, that is the end of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thank you so much for coming on again. It's
Yeah,
been a
thank
great
you. Thanks for
laugh.
having me.
Not,
Yeah, no, I
not,
really appreciate it. It's always a laugh.
yeah. Oh, good to hear. It's an absolute pleasure having you on and catching up with you again. But before I do let you go, can you just let the This Is the Music listeners know the social media platforms that they can find Ashley Stacey on?
Yeah, so it's Ashley Stacey on Instagram, Ashley Stacey on Facebook, Ashley Stacey UK on Twitter,
Hmm.
and Ashley Stacey UK on TikTok. Yeah, obviously Ashley Stacey on Spotify.
The
That's quite
important
simple,
one.
really.
Look, great stuff. Look, we'll put those links in the episode bio, and obviously we mentioned before about the previous episode that you were on with on the podcast as well. That's going to be in there as well. Look, Ashley, thanks again for coming on. And yeah, look, best of luck with everything. I'll, fingers crossed for you. Yeah, we'll keep shouting about the new single when it comes out on the 6th of June.
Yeah, thanks for all the support, man, and keep doing what you do, fighting the fight for all the up and coming artists. Really appreciate it.
And all that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for tuning in to the latest This Is the Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any brand new episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, I would love to hear from you. So please leave a comment and let us know your thoughts on today's This Is the Music Meets podcast, episode 140 with Ashley Stacey. If you are listening to this episode on Spotify Podcasts or Apple Podcasts, then stay tuned because at the very end of the podcast, you'll be able to hear Ashley Stacey's latest single, Archipelago. I'll see you very, very soon for another This Is the Music Meets podcast. And remember, the future is bright. The future is indie.